You ever been to, well, you haven't been out to California much.
Warning. All stories could be completely made up, and we have no way to confirm that. Any and all names mentioned in the show are most likely fake. We at Campfire Moto Stories are not journalists and should not be considered as much. If you're offended by anything said or shown in this episode, we don't care, but we encourage you to voice your opinion so we can laugh at the fact that you can't control your emotions. This program contains full language, and I recommend no one to watch or listen to this.
The views and opinions expressed in the program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the sponsor, any advertisers, or the sponsor's affiliates, employees, or partners.
Coming to you live from the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia, it's Campfire Moto Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I'm Anthony Bennett, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today for our live show. This YouTube show / podcast is all about sharing amazing motorcycle stories from everyday riders like you. Whether it's an epic ride, a funny mishap, or an unforgettable adventure, we want to hear it all. Today, we have some fantastic guests in the studio who we'll introduce in just a moment, where we'll dive into their riding stories. Plus, we have exciting segments lined up, including pre-recorded interviews, Billy's tech tips, spotlight a stolen bike, and stories sent in by you through the website and or phone line. At 8:30 sharp, we'll open the phone lines and give our live viewers a chance to call in and share their own motorcycle stories. Lastly, you'll get to hear an awesome story from my 5-year-old son about riding. May or may not be completely made up. But hey, 5-year-old can tell a great story, so can you. Don't forget, you can earn entries into our YZ250 giveaway by participating in the show. Check out CampfireMotoStories.com for all the official rules. And by participating in any way, shape, or form, you indicate that you've read the official rules and agree to our terms and condition. Let's get it started.
Another lap around the wall, another request, another call. All I hear is me, I can't reply at all. I feel the strain, I fall behind, I sacrifice my precious time. All I ever get is everything that's so true.
You had Regis on?
Hey, and we're live at Campfire Moto Stories. I have in studio with me an awesome dude named Jeff Palhegyi.
Got it. That's right. Pronounce it right.
Yes. I actually, right before the start of the show, I was like, dude, I forgot to ask you, how do you pronounce your name? So, yeah, Jeff has actually been with Yamaha for, what'd you say, 35 years?
35 years next
now?
year, yeah.
So he's done some awesome custom builds. I mean, honestly, well into 100, 200. How many custom builds do you think you've done over the years?
I mean, over the years, probably around 100. I mean, stuff that the public has seen, probably 70, 75 bikes, maybe.
Yeah, because I saw that you sent something to where you made 60 bikes for one show. I thought that I read that, or did I read that wrong?
No, that was probably wrong. I think if you look at the history of like Star motorcycles, we probably did about 60 custom motorcycles just for Star motorcycles over about a 10-year period, which still like 6 bikes a year. That's a lot of bikes, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff we were doing.
Okay. Yeah, I can see where the math adds up on that. So, yeah, you're a big part in VMAX conceptualizing and building that one.
Yeah.
Almost all the Star motorcycles from like the early 2000s, if I remember correctly. I've gotten some bits of information from pieces and looking stuff online. Built an awesome MT-07 Estenson Racing tracker. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just super excited to have you in the show. This is actually going to be the first time I have somebody in studio that I don't have any history with. So if I totally bomb this, it's not on you.
I'll let you know.
It's on me. But yeah, thanks for coming in. So to start off too, like, where did you like kind of get into to riding and building all these custom things? I understand that you're from Southern California, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in Southern California. My family moved to Northern California for my, like, say, my high school years. And the minute I graduated from high school, got in my car, straight back to Southern California. Went to San Diego State there. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and got really involved in. I mean, way back then it was like three-wheeler racing and motocross racing. I mean, that was. I don't even want to say when it was. It was like 1988, probably 87.
Yeah.
And just got super involved in the industry back then, with just mostly doing artwork. I did a lot of art, and I did a lot of technical illustrations. No design work at all back then, just mostly illustrating stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and my understanding is that in your childhood in Cali, maybe the reason why you had to go up north from your son, because I talked with him earlier today to get some more dirt on you, and he had said that there was a lot of dumb stuff you had done, and wooden airplanes through windows and some cars. So what do you got on that? What stories does that bring back up?
No, he's I wasn't a bad kid. I was just mischievous. He probably got in a lot more trouble in Northern California. Mainly because I got my first motorcycle when I moved to Northern California.
Oh, what was that?
My very first, I'm embarrassed to say this, but it was actually an XR 80 or whatever, the old high pipe. Burn your leg every time you rode it.
I had one of the early 90s ones, so they weren't too different back then.
No, it was bad. Steel wheels and steel fenders, and it was really early.
Yeah, and the circular air box, or air filter. Yeah. I don't remember if yours was that way, but I remember how much of a pain in the butt that thing was to get on. And
it was a terrible bike. Every time I rode it, something would go wrong or fall off of it. So I didn't have that too long, but I kind of sort of started out with that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and he even said, he's like, he wasn't a bad kid. It was more like you get bored and you just get, like you said, mischievous. You get into things, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, I was suspended at least once a month in middle school, so I get it.
It wasn't so much about like school. It was how fast can we get out of school and get on our bicycles and go BMX riding? Because, I mean, I'm 57 years old. I mean, I was in San Diego in a suburb called El Cajon, where everybody knows Ricky Johnson and all them guys are from there, and they're all my age, right? And I mean, BMX was the thing back then. And if you weren't riding a BMX bike every day after school, it wasn't cool,
Yeah. So did you actually get to because I know Hannah was big into BMX stuff, so you got to actually ride with him and stuff out there?
No, not really. Those were the guys that we went to. We would ride our bikes all the way across town on a Saturday to go see Harrow and those guys. Do stuff like that. Troy Lee back then. I think Troy Lee was around then. But it was cool. Super fun time to grow up.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. What was some of the other stuff he told me to kind of touch on with that?
He's going to get in trouble here. He could very well.
No, we made sure there wasn't anything that was going to get you in trouble or anything like that. Yeah, because, I mean, you already told me to don't ask you about any prototype stuff you've done with Yamaha. So let's get into that. Can we go ahead and start you telling me some of the cool prototypes?
Yeah, we can do all that right now. We can have about 5 seconds before I leave.
I do know there's... Nah, we won't get into that. Yeah. Sorry, started to go into that. I'll tell you what that one was later. I know some prototype stuff with side-by-side things I was going to ask, but I think it's more public, and that's why I was going to even ask. Actually, here we go. Here, let's hit on it. All right, he doesn't even know about it anyways. There was some Lexus prototype Yamaha side-by-side
Never heard of it.
So, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were involved in that project. So yeah, you obviously had an XR, and out there is was it more motocross stuff that you did, or was it desert stuff that you kind of went to go do?
When I had the XR, that was just, I mean, believe it or not, I used to go riding in the backyard with Ronnie Lachine.
Oh, no way.
Our best friends were backyard neighbors in Southern California, and we just go down a stairway to their house, and Ronnie Lachine had a circle track, and he had one of those little Hondas. His dad owned I think it was Lemon Grove Honda Yamaha at the time.
Okay.
And and he was in the business, when Ronnie first started, and that was it. And then we moved away. I left. We left everything in Southern California for the 4 years that I went to high school, and just because of my interests, I just couldn't wait to get back. I mean, everything.
I could see that. And that's where everything is.
Yeah.
It was back then.
Still is in a lot of ways. I mean, still huge amount of stuff comes out of Southern California for sure.
Oh yeah. And anybody who doesn't know any Ronnie Lachine's like
Dogger.
the dog, dude, just do some Googling, listen to some podcasts with him on, or just people talking about him. It's amazing. Like, I don't know if you got to experience any of that stuff firsthand, just the craziness of things that have happened. But he, and also his dad started Maxima Oils, and still going. I believe Ronnie, from what I can hear for the things I listen to, when he's not playing golf, he's in there. Yeah. But that's really cool. In fact, I believe his father passed away within a year, if I remember correctly. I heard something about that.
Oh, recently?
Yeah, a year or two ago. I think he had passed. But
yeah, I hadn't heard about that. But so I moved to Northern California, lived up there for 5 years, and my dad just. I mean, he knew that he had moved his kids. He moved us all up there, and we didn't have much to do. So he bought me a new XR75, and then for some strange, cruel reason, he bought my sister a brand new KX80. Oh, and I was like, no, that's mine. She can have this bike. This bike is 10 times better than what I got. That was maybe a year later. But
was she older or younger?
Younger. And I was like, no, that's too much bike for her. That's mine now. So that was the first really fun bike.
Oh yeah. Well, and what year KX80 would that be then?
Oh, you're just dating me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was probably, I want to say probably 82.
So it wouldn't even be liquid cooled.
It was liquid cooled, yeah.
Oh,
it was like one of the first ones. I believe it was, yeah. Huh. Yeah, 2-stroke.
So I thought the 80s didn't come out to liquid cooled until like 84, 83, 85-ish. Somewhere around there.
I was right in there, It was a great bike though, super fun. And so we lived up in Northern California. It was a lot of stuff to do up there, but man, if you didn't have a dirt bike, you were just super limited on what you could do, especially in high school. So we had bikes, and we were able to, like, my love of just woods riding and trail riding and single track all comes from those, years when we just explored and were able to just go riding. I mean, we could ride uphill until we ran out of gas and we could coast all the way home. So that's what we did every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And in a weird way, the kids are able to do that now with some of like the Surons and stuff like that. But back then, like, you almost had so much more freedom, and I had a little taste of it, but not so much. But talking with like my old boss, that aluminum frame KX500 I showed you before, that he actually had built that, but he has told me so many stories of in that same time era up in Illinois, just like riding dirt bike to school and gets pulled over by the cops, but the judge threw it out because he was not on the road, kind of thing. Like, you could do whatever in that kind of thing. But a lot of those kids on the Surons, and they're getting to do that now to an extent, but it's gonna go away soon because something bad's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's weird that they kind of have that access. And the main reason why they have that access for that is because it doesn't make noise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, any electrical dirt bike Yamaha stuff that you know about or can talk about?
Yeah, not really. I mean,
I know. Even if you knew, you couldn't talk about it.
There's a place for electric bikes, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's not my thing. I've tried them all, and I just, I feel like when I'm on an electric bike that it's, like off-road riding, I feel like it's a bicycle, and I've ridden motorcycles my whole life. I'm like, there's something about the weight of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
If you're a bicycle rider, you appreciate the lightweight and the nimbleness and the way you can move it around. But when you have a dirt bike and you have lots of power and you can kind of rip through stuff,
Yeah.
you always feel like the bike's going to like break in half underneath you. You know, I mean, there's the crossover's hard. It's really hard for me. Maybe I've just been doing the same thing for too long, but I ride a 250 FX, and to me, that's the best bike ever. You know?
Amazing bike.
Yeah.
I'm buying one of my buddies here soon.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even get to tell you about it. One of the reasons that the show also got started, I told you about me hurting my knee, but 3 of my bikes got stolen, and one of them was my FX, so 250 FX. But I had insurance on them, so I used the capital to kind of start this project while I was injured. I was like, what am I going to do with 11 months off the bike? It seemed like maybe it was 9 months off the bike. It felt like a fucking eternity. But yeah, no, that actually the FX, I think for off-road riding is one of the best bikes, period.
I have mine's completely dumbed down. I have like the heavy the flywheel weight. I have the suspension completely redone for woods riding.
Yeah.
And it's lowered like 20 millimeters. Just a couple little things that I did that I like, and it's the best bike I've ever had.
Yeah, and I mean, I've raced, because I've done a lot of woods racing too over the years, and I've raced a few 450s and even some with recluses, but man, it's too much. It's like, unless you're close to 300, it's too much of a freaking bike. But a 250F, the FX is just
awesome.
Woods weapon. Yeah.
Yeah. When I lived in California, so I moved from Northern California back, after high school. I graduated and went back to go to San Diego State, and just rekindle my desire to be in the motorsports industry. Right. I just got back into riding and go-kart racing and just anything with wheels on it or whatever. And for the prior to moving to Georgia 6 years ago, I had a new WR450 every year. I mean, that's just the bike for the West Coast because of the sand and the sand washes and riding in the desert and stuff. But here, the 250 it's just killer. I love the thing.
Yeah, and I could definitely see the advantage of having one out there, because I've actually, one of the times I've gone on the West Coast was to Las Vegas, and my buddy and I did a dirt bike tour. Like, you could go ride 525 KTMs.
Out of Vegas?
Yeah, out of Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
It was really neat. But what's funny is it was a record high, 117 degrees or something like that. But we were in Vegas. We were like, we're not going to miss this opportunity. Let's fucking do it. So it was just me, him, and this other couple rented quads, and I think within 20 minutes they were like, fuck this, we're done. But we rode the whole thing and then went to a mall and ate while we were in gear. It was really, really neat experience. But it was just really cool because the guy that was our instructor, you could tell he was a good desert racer too. And you could tell he was happy to have people on that were decent riders. I'm not going to say we were awesome, but he's like, oh, okay, I'm not having to really babysit these people. But he had a YZ250, and I told him, I was like, dude, I do want to try that out here. And going from the 520 to the YZ250, I was like, this sucks. like an open desert that,
Yeah. In the sand, it's mostly the sand and the loamy, sandy dirt out west. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about the 450 that's really good, Yeah,
that's my only West Coast riding experience, but I hope to get out there at some more.
You need to go ride in Mexico, too.
Oh,
put it on your bucket list. You got to do it.
Man, I've had a few possibilities for doing Baja 1000. And I grew up in Florida with sand. So sandy stuff, I love. That deep loam sand, love that kind of stuff. I grew up 30 minutes from Croom. I don't know if you ever got to go out there, but it's famous for its, God, I don't even know how many acre pit it is. It seems 60 acre sand pit is the front of the place. It's 200 acres of just open riding, no marked trails, just go kind of thing. But the front sand pit is just deep. It is deep desert sand as you can kind of think of Glamis type sand. So a lot of even the pros go out there and they'll just put in 30-minute motos to train for outdoors, as they're prepping for it. But the sorry, I know the past 3 shows I've been hacking my lungs up and I've been trying to avoid it, but this freaking don't have a kid in kindergarten. Daycare to kindergarten, awful times. They just bring home. They're walking Petri dishes. Sorry about that. All right, man, we kind of went off on a tangent there. What was some of the stuff I wanted to get to talking about? But that's actually the whole point of the show, where I was telling you, it's going to go by fast. We're just going to be sharing stories and kind of talking about different stuff. So obviously you got to the KX80. What was either the next bike or what led you into wanting to build them?
So we lived really close to a semi-well-known Honda Yamaha dealership up in Northern California called Dave Bird's Honda Yamaha.
Okay.
Dave Bird was a mechanic, flat track racer, flat track mechanic, pipe builder, built racing stuff. And I would walk down to that dealership, like before I had, when I was in elementary school, I could walk down there just to see what was going on and look at bikes and stuff. And I'd just walk down there and I would just always be, this pesky kid, you like, get out of here, right? And so I knew everybody down there. And my family made a trip to Sand Mountain in Nevada. Sand Mountain is just a place with big dunes, really big dunes. And my dad's like, we got to get some stuff and come here and ride. This is just really cool. So I was mowing lawns and, doing yard work and stuff.
The way that we used to have to earn money.
The way we had to make money.
Yeah.
And I went down there and I'm like, I want to buy a Tri-Moto, a Yamaha Tri-Moto. And it was the cheapest thing they had. It was $990, I think.
Okay.
And I bought it. I paid like $150 down and I was paying like $60 a month with it. So we went the big family trip. My dad bought a Honda Pilot. I think it was a Honda Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
So we go to the older one.
That's almost like the original
cool
side-by-side kind of thing,
but
right?
the older one, not the cool new one. The Pilot, it was like a FL 350 or something, 250 or something. It was slow. So we go to the sand dunes, and I get on my Tri-Moto, and I ride it over to the dune, and I give it the gas, and it just gets stuck. I'm like, well, there's got to be more than this, right? And I'm like, got to run at the hill. It goes nowhere. I'm like, this is terrible. This isn't going to work, right? So that whole trip, I was just bummed out. What am I going to do with this? So, of course, what do? We go home, start ripping it apart, and start modifying it. And I ended up I bought another Honda Odyssey, the original single seat one, the 250 motor, modified the heck out of that. And gosh, I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, just high school got kind of busy towards my senior year, and then it was just I'm out of here. So I got in my car, drove to San Diego with nothing. I had $50 and all my clothes, and I moved to San Diego and lived with my grandparents just to get back to San Diego.
Yeah, because your son had said that San Diego is really kind of where you actually linked up with Yamaha.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Because, I mean, they're kind of more Cypress, California, which is further south. So where is there a tie from Cypress into San Diego?
The whole off-road racing industry is, I mean, it used to be...
I'm thinking San Francisco.
That's way north. San Diego's all the way at the border. San Diego's
down. But still, that's a pretty good...
It's 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Disconnect. 2 hours away. So I go into San Diego State, went there for a couple of years, spent all my time at the racetracks, and just doing artwork. I mean, I was an artist and a technical illustrator. I worked for all the companies making sprint car parts and stuff, doing all their instructions, and all the local off-road guys making lift kits and stuff. That's what I did. I made instruction manuals, and I drew.
Really?
I mean, it was pre-computers. I mean, I was pen and ink. I drew it all by hand, and I loved doing it. I made great money doing it, and I was still going to school. And I got linked up with a company called Cheneth Racing Products. And Cheneth Racing is one of the original dune buggy companies, in the whole world. They made dune buggies before anybody did.
Like the Volkswagen type ones?
Yeah. And
so they obviously, because Volkswagen is the ones making that, they were more making accessories for
just frames,
them.
Chassis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's early days. Still, the stuff wasn't super sophisticated, but that's how I met Yamaha. Yamaha had contracted them to help do some stuff, and I just met a bunch of people at Yamaha. Next thing you know, I had worked with Yamaha in association for about a year, and then we just kept doing more and more of it, and it was back in the early days of ATVs even, ATVs were, square boxes with an engine that you could ride on. They were nothing special beyond that, just to get you around. But it was that was kind of the beginning, and I did that till about 1990. And in 1990, I was done going to school and doing everything in my life part-time, and I wanted to get serious about it. And got a shop and just started doing it.
So you were actually like all those illustrations and pictures we'd see in the instruction manuals, you were drawing those for the maintenance manual or not?
No,
maintenance manuals,
like
the owner's manual.
Okay, so like I used to work for a company called Hallebrand, and Hallebrand made sprint car rear ends. And I would draw like all the gears and like the whole assembly so you could see how it went together.
Oh,
so I had like an eye for doing 3-dimensional drawing, and I could do the instruction manuals.
So
and that's
like the fish finders kind of thing, like the drawings you'd see on the fish finder where it breaks the parts all apart and it has a number 13 to it, and you take 13 and you go to the, that's really neat.
Absolutely.
I've always wondered, like that's always been a thought of mine, like who's like, do they take pictures of these or somebody drawing? Like I've always wondered how like those things come together. Like from a little kid when I would see.
There's like a technique to do it, and it's. I mean, everybody wants the best quality job for the cheapest price, and I just kind of had a artistic way of doing it, and I would just do it, and everybody was good enough,
Yeah.
And it was that was kind of my start on the more technical side of design or drawing or just putting stuff together like that. And the whole time I lived in San Diego, I mean, I raced speedway go-karts. I was really into go-karting. Had tons of friends that did it. And, just even into my career with Yamaha, shifter karts and go-karts.
Oh, yeah.
Always like a super fun thing.
Yeah, my uncle's big into shifter go-karts and stuff like that too, down in Tallahassee area. You been up to AMP? In Dawsonville?
Yeah. Go there every chance I get.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Did you actually have a go-kart for that track, or do you get the rentals?
I've been contemplating doing it. It's just you have to be a member up there, and it's super expensive.
Oh,
And I mean, honestly, where I may be able to do it and get a membership and go do it, like none of my friends could do it or my employees could do it. And it's kind of like a thing that you would want to do with the group of people that you associate with. And if you can't all go do it and have fun, it's kind of like, well,
what's the point?
Yeah, it just kind of turned me off on the whole thing. But we still go up there and do the kart rental thing all the time. It's a blast.
It's been a while since I've been up there to do it, but yeah, like we'd go up there with a group of 10, 15 of us, and you hope you get the good kart.
Yeah.
Because there's always the one that's the better of them.
Yeah.
Because if you get a bunch of people that are on equal planes, and then it's
all about getting the right cart. Yeah, you look at who's got the fast time in the heat before you, and you get that.
And
car.
you hope to get it. But what's funny is because we've done that before too, and I've actually kind of like watched it and made sure I got that cart. Well, it just turned out that it was just a good driver, and everybody else sucked. I had like the worst cart, and I was like, oh, how did this dude do that? But not the worst one, but it was like middle pack kind of thing. But oh man, definitely went off on a tangent on that one too. But I love that kind of shit because it's just natural. That's one thing I was going to ask you about the drawings you've done. Have you ever done one and it was just way wrong and like kind of shit hit the fan because of that kind of thing? Like it got published and all that kind of stuff? Or
never got that far. I've usually been able to recognize
catch it before then.
I've been working on this for 3 or 4 hours and it's way wrong and it's going in the trash. I got to start over.
I'd almost be more worried about you did your part right. Somebody else had the file mixed up for the wrong vehicle kind of thing, and it gets published that way.
I mean, there wasn't files back then. There was like parts. Like they would give me the parts and say, and a lot of times back then, I would get the engineering drawings. So I would have the actual engineering drawings of the components, and I would have to dissect individual pieces and figure out how it went together myself.
Because that was going to actually be my next question is, did you had it assembled, and did you have to take it apart?
Sometimes, yeah.
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 And then, of course, put it back together.
Yeah. Or just take them back to box of parts.
Well, yeah, that could work too. No, that's really neat. I didn't know that about you, so I'm glad we kind of got into that thing. Who was kind of the first person, you said that San Diego's where you met and got linked up with Yamaha. Who was kind of the first person that, and usually there's a person that brings you in or you get linked in that way to it.
Yeah, so the motors, the head of motorsports back then, Yamaha was very into searching for product ideas. Like it was a very big thing to be kind of aggressive with looking for new ideas. Like that was a big thing. So like the head of motorsports at the time was just always looking for stuff to make and try and test. And so we kind of started just by doing that. Like I hooked up with them, and I worked for just the motorsports group, and we just built stuff, tested stuff, built stuff, different ideas. I mean anything. I mean, all over the road. We built a rally car one time. And raced it in the Baja 1000.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we built a dune buggy, a full-size dune buggy, and a rally car, and raced them in the Baja 1000.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear you say that, because I feel like all the Japanese brands get this rap of like they don't ever progress, and I've kind of been like, well, that's not really true. Especially Yamaha, they built the first 4 strokes and all that other stuff, but they have that reputation for being very conservative. So that's interesting to hear you say they were really aggressive with trying new things. Do you feel in this age they're as equally aggressive for trying the new things, but maybe we don't see it as, the general public doesn't see it as much, or it was more then because everything was so new? Does that make sense, kind of what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, back then, I think that the era of like technology was really like blowing up. Like, because think about it. I mean, in 1990, look at a motorcycle or an ATV or something. It was way different than nowadays. I think now the market is obviously way more competitive. Technology is, I'm not going to say technology has peaked, but in terms of certain facets of it, like, like the motorcycle itself is kind of sort of peaked as what it is.
Yeah.
You can tweak them and tune them, and small advances in technology and stuff. But the industry is definitely probably harder to make a big new statement, or makes the next best. The next best thing is difficult. I mean, everybody would love to have that idea, but come on. I mean, you can search and search and search, and it's difficult to find.
Yeah, because I mean, back in that era, you're talking about, they were still trying to figure out, swing arm lengths and where the foot pegs go, and where, like, those different things, the rake and trail of stuff. So once they kind of nailed that wheelhouse, or if you want this feel, this is this and this and this and this,
and linkages. And all that,
once they kind of nailed that stuff, like, that makes sense, because then the only thing you can do is small changes to try to come up with new stuff.
Yep.
But still, even, I mean, that just hit me with advances, right? Like, Yamaha came up with the Wi-Fi, so I connect my phone to my 450 and I change stuff at the track when I was riding Sunday. Like, that's freaking cool, Like when I remember 2018 was the first year they came out with that, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, they had before the thing you could plug into it and those kind of things, but... And
how long did that last? I mean, the Wi-Fi thing was like right after it, It was only a short amount of time.
4 years, 3 years. 14 to 18, 4 years when they made that to where you could do it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny because you read a lot of comments, and there was something that was brought up on my last show about like a YZ 350F or FX, that there was rumors about it coming out, and it's like, that to me would be the next hot thing. So I mean, I kind of lost my train of thought with that one, because I was like, I don't want to go too deep in the weeds with that one. But basically, like, a lot of the comments and the things that I've seen from that were just a lot of just talk about trashing Japanese manufacturers not wanting to progress. And it's like, really, if you take a step back and you think about it, there's a lot of really cool innovations and things that's changed, like, across all the 4 brands. Yeah. But I do still feel like Yamaha's a little bit of the leader of that. Yeah. Nobody else still has the Wi-Fi connection thing. I don't know if they put a patent on that or not, but I don't think they did.
I wouldn't know.
But yeah, it's just kind of neat stuff that's come up with over the years. So going into the 90s and stuff, this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I know you were a big part with the V-Star or Star motorcycle line.
Yeah.
And that was more 2000s era, right?
It started in 96.
96, okay.
Yeah, so in, I think it was 1996 they came out with the Royal Star.
What size motor would that be?
That thing was a 1300.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a 4-cylinder, and it was loosely
a V4?
VMAX-ish kind of. I was a V4, yeah.
Okay.
And I had done nothing but off-road stuff up to that point. And the motorsports guy that hired me, he basically said, hey, are you interested in this stuff at all? And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. Like, what is it? What are we making? What's new? I want to do something else, and I kind of want to, it was just me. I was just one person in a small 1,000 square foot shop up until then. And I said, yeah, I want to do some more stuff. So he's like, well, come look at it. And I got to see it. And he's like, you need to get a bike and go ride and get interested in it. And so there was nothing to ride. I mean, I wanted to get something. I ended up getting a Harley, and because you had to learn about something.
I was going to say, and honestly, you should go after what the market sharehold at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and that would have been Harley.
Yeah.
And it still probably is in the cruiser market.
Yeah.
But
maybe. And so I was riding and getting used to the industry and learning as much as I could about it. And in late in 96, I did my first custom motorcycle. And basically I got like one of the very first ones that was shipped over here. They had a dealer meeting coming up, just customize it. Don't, because I didn't do any design work on it at all. I didn't even know about it until I saw it. And,
okay, so you didn't actually design and build like the first one. Basically, here's the first one.
Yeah.
Do some cool shit with it.
Make this cool. Make this. And so I did it, and it's pretty popular. Everybody liked it. It was kind of a first for Yamaha to have something like that. And I was like, oh man, this is cool, but there's so much more here.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, I need another one. Like, I need to give me a couple more bikes. You give me two. And at the same time, like they were introducing the bike in Europe. So they wanted one in Europe as well. So he's like, the Yamaha says, make two show bikes, make them totally different so we can use them
like as a comparison kind of thing?
Yeah, but we're going to send one to Europe for the show circuit, and one of them is going to go here. And I was like, well, okay. So I went and I talked to my painter. I'd met this guy that painted custom bikes. And again, I knew nothing about this stuff. And I don't even know how I got introduced to this guy. But he's like, well, I'm just going to take you up to LA and introduce you to everybody, and you're just going to learn about all this stuff. I literally went in like 1997. He took me up to Los Angeles, and we went to Boyd Coddington's shop, Fat Jack's shop. We went to Edelbrock. We went to, who else did we go see? I mean, Little John Batera. So those are all famous guys in the hot rodding industry at the time.
Yeah.
And I just thought that the whole industry of the billet custom made stuff was it. And so that's my next two bikes. That's what I did. I built American top tier hot rod motorcycles. That's what I did. And that was kind of my start. I mean, it was like they didn't really ask me how much it was going to cost. They just said, do it. And it was fun, super fun.
Yeah. Man, that's really neat. Sorry about that. As soon as I was about to talk, I was like, I know there's a cough coming. Oh, don't have kids. So the guys you got to meet with that, was there any of them that you kind of really gravitated towards their style? Or did you try to kind of take a little bit from each of them?
The first trip that we went up there, I went to Little John Batera's hot rod shop, and he made everything himself. He had a mill and a lathe, and he just made this super cool stuff. Boyd Coddington had guys doing stuff for him, and he made some stuff there at the shop. But it was just kind of the idea that they didn't have to take what they were given and repaint it or chrome it. They made a vision, and then they built that vision. So that was like the thing, was to, and with Yamaha, it was always, being very respectful to the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make sure that I didn't make some wild thing that no one could tell was a Yamaha. So I think one of the reasons that I've been successful in doing those kind of projects for Yamaha, the public stuff, the stuff that everybody sees, is we've always really, really tried to enhance the brand and not just go out in right field and make something that no one will know what it is.
Yeah, like if you're going to make a custom type tank, almost make it to where it has a accent that pops out to, really show this brand kind of thing. And because that way, if somebody walks by it, they're going to be like, oh, that's a Yamaha.
Yeah.
Because I'll even, like, Honda made that one chopper custom looking thing years back. I don't remember the name of it. Do you kind of remember seeing that one thing? It was almost like at the end of the chopper craze, they finally came out with one.
They made that thing called a Ruin. I would call it the Ruin.
I can't remember the name of it.
Big old battleship on wheels.
It looked like a chopper, but you almost they went too far where you couldn't tell it was a Honda kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's that fine line of making sure between the two of them that they're within that balance.
Yeah, Yamaha was super aggressive. I mean, they made a bike in every category, and we worked with. I mean, it's not like I designed this stuff. It's a team. Like it was a team of people, like a group of people. And there's internal people. There's people in my shop. There's other design companies. But it was always teamwork on the model development, and then I was always just the lucky guy that got to take what we'd worked on for a couple of years creating, and I got to customize it. And of course, so I'm thinking about it before anybody's ever seen it. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do to it, So I have an inside advantage always on my custom bikes.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's funny to hear about the Star bikes because growing up, I was only into dirt bikes, and I didn't care about street bikes, cruisers, any of that stuff. I kind of knew about them. My dad actually owned a Honda dealership as I was growing up, from like 2nd grade to 8th grade, I think he owned it, and then he sold it, and then still worked in the motorcycle industry. But when I first got out of high school and I went to go work at a Cowie dealership, there was a Yamaha dealership that was opening up down the road, and one of the guys that's been in the industry for a while and knew cruiser stuff was like, oh, we're in trouble with them moving up the road. And I was like, why? He goes, they have Star bikes. I was like, so what? He's like, no. Star Yamaha, like cruisers, is a big market, like in the cruiser world. And it was at that point that I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So that was the first time I ever heard of like how big it was. And it's kind of cool to like piece this together that you were probably a big part of making that cool and known into that scene. Yeah. So being 18 years old and hearing that kind of thing and then bridging that gap now to me is kind of like, that's cool. Really cool. So something I figured you'd like to hear that I heard from the outside world.
That's always neat to hear those stories,
Was there anybody that was on the team that like really pushed those beyond to like the next step, or any of them that were just kind of like, this guy was a big part of that too? Because you were on more the custom side, but I mean on the production side of it.
Yeah, there was, I think it was very competitive. I think from what I could see, like what actually was produced and what you could see, Yamaha just was light years ahead of everybody else because we had just new models, and they just were just all in on it. I mean, everybody. I mean, they would bring, our comrades from Japan would come over here, and one of my jobs, being the one that did the custom bikes and was doing the shows and stuff, was to kind of help show those guys the industry and like what are they, because they don't know. I mean, they're over there and they get a drawing from somebody in California and they got to make something, and they're like, why, and so you have to teach everybody, and everybody has to learn, and the whole team has to be together on what you're doing, and then you have to have a yes person somewhere that pushes it all through and makes it happen.
The Fury, somebody commented on the in the live chat that's watching. That was a Honda Fury. That was the name of the thing. And they also had said that the XR80 was an awesome motorcycle. You couldn't destroy it. The electric bikes now have a set of playing cards that you put on the spokes to make the noise too, to make it seem like you're on a bike.
I've probably done that in my lifetime.
Actually, it's kind of funny when you're talking about the early days of BMX riding. I was going to say, because it sounded like you wanted bikes at that point but couldn't get them. So because we all did it, put freaking playing cards onto the front wheels or the rear wheels to make it. And it was funny because there was always that fine line. You couldn't go too far in, because then it made it harder to pedal. You couldn't go too far out because then it wasn't too loud enough. There was like that sweet spot of it. really wish this thing would freaking go away. I might actually go to a doctor to see if I can do something to get rid of it. So, I told you this is going to go by fast. We're already 45 minutes into doing this. Yeah, I told you. I said 2 hours will seem like 30 minutes. So I want to bring up your website. So anybody that wants to see some really cool bikes or see some stuff that this guy has done, this is this dude's site. So walk me through what we got going on here. Tell me about some of these builds, what's neat about them, what was a challenge. Let's just talk about some of this stuff. So where should I go?
You're looking at my favorite shot right there. That's Jake Johnson at Peoria. He's riding the Estenson Racing Yamaha MT-07 flat track bike. That's a project we did. We started on that about 8 years ago. And I mean, we.
Oh, wow. 8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it started. I mean, that's when the FZ07 was the new bike, and that particular motor. And I mean, Yamaha people that are into flat track racing all over the country were just been waiting for years and years and years for Yamaha to make a face and make a showing at the flat track races again. And that particular bike that we developed. And we did develop that bike. I mean, there was a small group of us, a couple of guys from Yamaha, and my shop developed that bike in its infancy, the first concept. And we've won, I think, maybe we've lost 1 or 2 TT races since it was new. Now I'm saying TT races. The bike was never very successful on the ovals, which is what the AFT Championship is primarily about.
So
oval
a few years back, there was a race at Road Atlanta, the
Atlanta Motor Speedway. We won every single event there. We won every event that night.
Yeah, I do
top qualifiers.
That.
I mean, everything. But that was on that bike. Okay. And JD Beach is just an absolute animal on that bike. He can ride the wheels off that thing.
Bet. Yeah.
And so. The original bike we built ended up being the TT bike, and Estenson Racing took it upon themselves. They hired some engineers, and they built a oval track version of it. And they were right there for the championship this year. And Dallas Daniels, I think he broke his femur the night before one of the races, and he was out for the rest of the year.
How did he do it the night before a race?
Well, the night before he was supposed to leave, they were practicing riding dirt bikes.
Oh, okay.
Something happened,
Yeah.
So.
I was going to say, wait a second. Usually you get hurt in the race.
No, practicing hard, I'm sure.
So is that the same engine platform that's in the Yamaha Tenere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's called their CP2 motor, and it was in the FZ07, then the MT-07, then the Tenere 700. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of cool things about that, and honestly, it's one of those things where I'm still fighting, where I'm like, I'm too young for an adventure bike, but you hear more and more about it, and you're like, dude, these things sound like they're really badass, and you kind of want to just try one to see what it would be like.
It's kind of like the ultimate bike that you can have sitting in your garage. Go downstairs, get on it, ride it to where you're going to go riding instead of having to put it in a truck and go through all that, and then go on some huge adventure and then ride the thing home. Yeah. You know?
And you can still take it on the interstate.
They're great.
It's not going to blow you all over the road.
Absolutely.
So,
very comfortable to ride.
Yeah. Honestly, I've had opportunities to demo them, and I'm fighting doing it. Yeah. It's almost like we were talking about the electric bikes. I'm fighting actually trying a Stark out because I don't want to be like, I gotta have this.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to some of the other ones. Let's go
to Gallery. If you want to go to Gallery, you can look at kind of the history of all the Star Customs. Yeah, right there, and then click the top Gallery. Yeah, so that's the history. So the top left there is the very first bike I ever built. So that's basically that was in 1996. We just took. Oops, you went backwards.
Shit, what did I just hit?
I don't know. Go back to Gallery.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was the very first bike, and it's basically was just a lot of paint and chrome, and wasn't a lot. I mean, that was my first bike. There wasn't much we could really do, and I didn't have a lot of time to do it. Now, if you go to the next slide, that was the hot rod bike. So the hot rod industry completely influenced me on that. That was just everything on that bike was special. The engine, was Yamaha, but everything else was custom.
Yeah, I actually really like how clean the tank to seat to fender looks on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just the hot rod industry completely inspired me to do that. And
so I'm not going to lie, it does kind of look like it has the front end from the Terminator bike.
yeah. Big, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big brakes, big forks, big stuff.
All right,
I'm going to have to skip down.
And these are all bikes you have built.
Yeah, we built all these. A lot of stuff there.
Oh, we were talking about the TTR 125.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are all the Supermoto minis that we had. That was a project that I did with Roland Sands.
Oh.
And it's called what would we call it? It was a 450.
Yeah, so I remember about these. So they were trying to make like an entry-level class in the road racing. And so their idea was to take motocross 450 bikes and you basically convert them into like a road racing thing. And the idea of it being entry was very much thrown out the window. And they were like, this is my understanding of it. It was like, oh, this isn't going to work because these bikes cost like $12,000 to build.
Oh yeah,
so you can't. Yeah. It's not.
By the time you bought all the parts to build it like that, I mean the Marchesini wheels and the R6 forks, and I mean go zoom out. That's a finished bike. That's like the show bike that we built. Then there's a slide right there see the bike naked. There you go. So that's the actual bike with no bodywork. And
so this was the 06 to 09 YZ450 frame. So which year is it?
I'm not going to remember that right now, but yeah, and you can see it's the stock frame. It's a stock subframe.
Oh, that's
the battery is in the chin spoiler or underneath. Yeah.
Man, I would love to ride one of those. That'd be so
super fun.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty dang fun. Yeah.
Like just the light and nimbleness. Like we were talking about for the aluminum frame 500 Supermotos. Like
there's a comparison slide right there in the middle picture.
Where am I at?
Between the two, right there. Yeah, that just shows the two bikes. Basically, that's the same bike.
Wait, so was it a WR platform then, or was it a YZ platform?
I was using the WR because of the wide ratio gearbox.
And
because
also with the electric start, that makes sense why the battery box was up there.
Electric start and the wide ratio.
The battery box just have to go there just because that was the only
just trying to get the weight lower. No,
really,
just trying to get the weight lower. Just get the whole thing a little bit lower of the center of gravity.
I just realized that I was on us, not them. So this is the comparison photo.
Yeah.
So anybody watching on the tube, anybody listening in audio, well, I guess you're just screwed. You're gonna have to actually go to YouTube to see this cool shit, or go to jpaldesign.com. And check this stuff out. No, I was peeking through all this stuff. Like once, what was about 2 weeks ago, I kind of locked you in to figure out you're coming on the show, and I started just digging in, doing research and stuff like that. Got some VMAXs here.
Yeah.
So were you part? My understanding there was a big introduction, like for the VMAX, like basically the lights were off, and somebody was doing a burnout.
On the Midway.
In the Midway.
On the deck of the Midway in San Diego in the Bay.
Okay. Yeah. So I heard like the rumor of how it got released. Were you part of that release?
I was there, but I wasn't part of it. I was just there watching. It was cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right. Well, one of the things I got to do is pay some bills, and I'm going to play one of our sponsor reads because I feel like we both need to take a little pee break right now. So why don't we do that? I'll play this sponsor read, and we'll come back and we'll get some more of this cool stuff here. So, all right.
Our next segment is brought to you by Hard Knocks Racing. They're a group of dedicated motorcycle enthusiasts since 1998. They're your go-to for Campfire Moto official gear and will soon launch an apparel line of their own. They excel in crafting all kinds of custom decals, like this badass sign behind me, from custom signs to full bus wraps and office customization. In fact, check out this work Anthony did at one of the well-known Japanese manufacturer's office who will remain nameless. They also crafted awards for prestigious events such as the Perry Mountain 24-hour race, Mill Creek Spring Classic, Seika Hair Scramble Series, and many more for local racetracks in the Southeast. Check out hardknocksracing.com or give Anthony D'Amico a call at 404-717-2480. These stories are brought to you by On-Road Riders. Get on the road safely with On-Road Riders. They offer Georgia-certified training through the Motorcycle Safety Foundation Basic Rider Course on both 2-wheels and 3-wheel motorcycles, enabling you to obtain your motorcycle license hassle-free. Their mission is to instill essential skills for safe motorcycle operation and save lives. You'll learn from certified coaches covering everything from clutch friction zone techniques to obstacle avoidance. They currently have 2 convenient locations, Mountain Motorsports in Conyers and Georgia's Best Fireworks in Milledgeville. At just 16 years old, with parental consent, you can enroll and upon a successful completion, receive a waiver for your Georgia DDS motorcycle license. Visit onroadriders.com to start riding safely today.
All right. Well, Jeff's still taking his pee break right now, but since I got a few seconds, why don't I talk about my stolen bike segment? So this is actually really cool. Our first segment, or our first guest, Brandon, he's our insurance buddy. We talked about those stories a good bit. And so I reached out to his boss and told him like about the show, about the segments and all this stuff. So he's actually planning to come on board as a sponsor. So haven't got the read together and the video together and all that stuff, but oh God, I'm gonna screw up the whole name and read and all that stuff. But they're Farmers Agents Insurance out of, God, I'm new, I don't know what to do. God, where's the text I sent to Blake the other day? But oh, I don't have their phone number or any of that stuff in there. I'll edit this in there. By the way, by the next show, we should have them locked in. And you're going to need, like, we talked about it. Bike insurance is stupid cheap. I had my 3 bikes stolen. I get a fat check from it, and I was able to create this kind of thing. It's just one of those things you can kind of go to bed at night, not worrying, or at a race or whatever, about your stuff getting jacked. So, motorcycle insurance, super cheap. Highly recommend it. Hit up Austin with the Farmers Agency Insurance. I'll get their number for you next time. But anyways, this guy's bike got stolen. And he's actually offering a $1,000 reward. So on top of my 500 entries into the YZ250 giveaway that I'm offering, this guy's offering $1,000. So help this dude find his bike back. Get his bike back. Jeez, speak. But yeah, as you can read it right now, it's a 2020 Yamaha R6 stolen in Richmond, Virginia. Little over a month's been missing. He says the insurance isn't covering theft already. Interesting. I wonder what happened with that story. I tried to reach out to the guy to get the full story. He never hit back, but he did let me know to please share this information. So if you have anything on it or any information leading to finding the bike, please help this dude out. All right, we're back. A little bathroom break. That worked out perfect. I knocked out like 2 segments, 2 reads while we're doing all that. I got that turned on for you. All right. All right, so where were we at before taking our little potty break? So your website, we were looking at bikes, talking about those things. Oh, we were talking about the VMAX thing, and yeah, so in the chat they said insurance companies love the intro to the VMAX. Was there a insurance company issue that you heard of, or no? That was just probably a comment.
I have no idea. That just sounds like something that somebody grabbed onto.
But all right, what is this thing?
So they had a bike build off. Yamaha sponsored it, and when the Bolt motorcycle was brand new, I think they gave away 10 or 12 bikes and to builders, and everybody could just do whatever they wanted to do. And as you know, my whole life I've been interested in flat track racing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to build a Bolt flat tracker. So that's my interpretation of a Bolt flat tracker.
So what was the Bolt? I don't recall that one.
It was like their entry-level cruiser. I mean, it was kind of like a Sportster, you know. I mean, that would be your comparison, you know.
Like a 650 was the engine?
Gosh, I don't even remember. But yeah, it was it's a neat bike, and it's a V-twin, and we did quite a lot with it. Ended up making the SCR platform, which was another version of it. You can go, that's at the photo shoot we did for it. Roland and I both did dirt track bikes. Roland was one of the other builders.
Is
and
it the other one?
Both of us, no, that's actually a Bolt custom. That is an SR400, the one above it. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about the SR400.
That's a custom SR400. Yeah. That was just a idea that I had.
Because that looks like I know it's not, because obviously that's a DR, but it looks like a DR 650 or XR 650 engine.
The SR400 motor. So it's the new version that they released. It wasn't, in the old days it was a 500, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then they introduced the new version, which was a 400, and it was just more refined. Kind of the same motor. I believe it's fuel injected.
Oh, really?
And it just, I wanted to make a little enduro out of it, because it was only introduced as a street bike. And then that yellow bike, that's actually a Bolt that I customized. So it's just, again, no limits. Do whatever you want. Make it look like a Bolt. That's a Bolt tank.
I was going to say, so what's the tank under here for? What's in that?
The cover for the battery.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because that was almost like...
It's like an old oil tank.
Yeah, I was going to say, an oil tank, I believe, from the old bikes back in the day.
Not necessary on the Yamaha, but...
Yeah, but if you got a battery and you need to do something with it, might as well do something really cool.
Make it cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
Absolutely. That's another one.
Who did the pinstripe?
That's the painter that I had in San Diego. His name's Benny Flores. He's he's a legend in the San Diego area. He's paints lowriders and stuff, and he's just got a real eye for color, and he's painted almost every cruiser that I built, from probably 2008.
Painting and pinstriping and all that custom stuff's always fascinated me. Like I've seen it and know enough about it to know to understand how it's done, but it's one of those things like I can kind of put together most everything that I really want to do. I feel like no matter what amount of time I would put into that, I would never be that good at it. Like there is just like to me, there's a natural gift on it. I'm sure there's going to be somebody who will argue that and be like, no, you could do it if you really wanted to try. But no, there's something about pinstriping and just getting the different multicolors and knowing the right way to shape or shade things to make certain colors pop that just... It's always baffled me, and it's been interesting.
I kind of always know what I want it to look like, but I don't have a clue how to get from the raw metal to that. I watched the guys over the years painting stuff, and it requires a level of patience that I do not have for that kind of stuff, and obviously just the skill to make it all happen. That yellow bike, that's the concept bike for the flat track bike. So that is
So that led into the first bike that we looked at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Basically almost the same bike. The concept bike that we built is almost, really, really close to being what they ended up racing.
So I don't know that type of racing that much, and I know that's a big thing that you really do like. You told me flat track and the TT stuff is like your niche, right?
Yeah.
So like what's the rules there for building one of those? Is there any? There's no production rules like there is in motocross and that stuff?
I would tell you that the rules are that it has to be a production-based motorcycle.
So just the engine or the frame as well?
No, just the engine.
Just the engine,
but
okay.
It's not really true because the Indian has dominated that racing series for years now with an engine that they never put in a production bike. So the rules are made for the person with the biggest checkbook.
I was going to say, you mean the title sponsor?
Yeah, the title sponsor to bounce the rules. Yeah, for sure.
Weird. That doesn't sound too different than some other racing.
I get it. I understand it. They're trying to put on a show, and they need bikes, and they need enthusiasm and stuff. But when people come along and they want to do something, I don't know if it's good for the industry or if it's bad, but it's what we have, It's the way things are right now. And, luckily, the Estenson racing team and Yamaha put enough effort into it, and they're winning, And I mean, it's like it was a tall order from the beginning to get to that point. And it's been a lot of work for like 5 years. They've been working on it. Yeah.
They were you at the Sonoya flat track race that happened 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago? There was one that was going on.
Yeah, I think I was. Yeah,
that was like the first flat track race that I actually got to go to. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. This year it was like rained out, I think, or the track was really mushy.
I don't remember. I just remember at the last minute, I kind of found out there was that race going on, and then we somehow got tickets, and we're like, well, let's go down there and do that.
Yeah,
and it's actually funny. I was just telling you before the start of the show that I got to hang out with Tim Ferry at a track on Sunday. That was like. I bumped into him one other time and talked for a little bit, like, hey, we had a mutual friend, and that was the end of it. And then at that race, like, I'm just standing there talking with a bunch of people from Mountain Motorsports, and Timmy's walking by me, and I go, holy shit, that's Tim Ferry. Like, I tried to say it quiet enough, and he kind of looked over and was like, hey, man. And then I was like, we actually went and talked to him a little bit, then we spent like 15 minutes talking to each other. But yeah, that's something that I want to kind of throw out, that like a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah.
That... because I grew up in Tampa, he grew up in, it wasn't Clearwater, Largo, which was like 30 minutes from Tampa. A lot of people that we kind of know the same people of, but yeah, we ended up parking each other at the track this last weekend and was actually talking with him for a while, and it was kind of like one of those pinch me moments, try not to be such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Which kind of was my segue into the next thing of Covert Camera. So I wanted to talk about a lot of the cool stuff. So anybody who kind of doesn't know, so Covert Camera is a company that Andy Harrington, Regis Harrington, like I know he's kind of in Supercross, he was known as Andy Harrington, and I say Regis to certain people, they're like, who the hell are you talking about? Yeah. And I'm like, Andy Harrington. So kind of known by both. He's known for his tramp stamp as well. So
you've seen it evidently.
Yeah, that was, I got to hang out with him at Day in the Dirt, and that was one of the things, because I had known about it from a different podcast and was like, let me see the tramp stamp. I had way too much to drink at that point by the time I got to talking with him. But yes, Covert Camera started in like South Georgia, and you were a big part of starting that, because Regis had this idea of creating an electric bike camera that... because all the other bikes that they were using before then were gas, and they were smoking people out, and the actresses and actors were like coughing and not liking it, and we're like, everybody's ready to shoot, and they're like, screw this, like we're fucking dying of all the smoke or whatever. So he had this bright idea, and I think that's what's really cool about because from what I know, it really changed the game of camera work with motorcycles. His company did, and it's all just this little stupid idea of, why doesn't somebody do this? And then somebody actually doing it. Yeah. So I want to know where did you know him before then that he wanted to reach out to you with that idea?
So we both grew up in El Cajon. Okay. So a suburb of San Diego. So we're both from there. And I knew him from just around. I mean, I knew he was racing, and I knew one of his sponsors. And he was, the first time I met him, I think he was riding a supermoto race at El Cajon Speedway.
Okay.
And he crashed, or somebody took him out, something happened, and he's like, oh, I'm done for the day. And I was wandering around the pits, and Stevie Wright came up to me. I don't know if you know Stevie, but he's an ex-Honda rider. And he's like, oh, I bet you Palhegyi can fix this for you. And I'm like, yeah. My shop is like right around the corner, so we threw his bike in the truck, ran over to the shop, got the parts, fixed it, got him back, got him in the main event.
Oh, that's awesome!
First time I think I met him. I mean, I knew of him before that, but a lot of mutual friends. I mean, there's like tons of mutual friends.
The motorcycle community is such a small community when you really look at it. Yeah.
And so, years later, and I don't know if it's 10 years later, maybe, I didn't know any of his life story between the 2 points, but the Corey Bender from Black Art Design, he did all of my graphics work, and he calls me and he says, Andy, Reg, he's got this thing that he's thinking about. He wants you just to make a mount to put a camera on this motorcycle, and he wants to just buy this electric bike because he thinks the actors are going to like the lack of sound and all the smoothness of it. So I'm like, yeah, come call me. So he calls me up. And I'm like, come over. He comes over to the house.
Do you know what year this was?
Oh, jeez. I'm going to say, and I'm just going to blow this. If he's listening, he's going to laugh. But I'm going to say it's been 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
God, I didn't realize it was that long ago.
It's been a while. Well, so here's what happened. He was living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yep.
I was in San Diego. He had come out here with this idea. And I'm like, he's explaining to me what he wants to make. And I'm like, okay, well,
let's put the
That's a
picture up.
great
Let's
idea.
let them show
Yeah.
them. All
Okay.
right, so this was the first.
Yeah.
So I actually slid into Andy's or Regis's DMs on Instagram and was like, "Hey, he's coming on. Like, do you have any stories to tell? Any of this kind of stuff?" And he sent me this picture.
Have you had Regis on the show?
No.
You gotta have like a
You're my
special.
7th show.
You gotta have like a special 4-hour show because his stories will.
Dude, I would absolutely love to have Regis.
Oh,
on
he'll
the
do
show,
it for sure.
But
For sure. So yeah, he had this idea. He just wanted to mount this camera on the bike, and he's like, "I want to make it adjustable. I want to do all this stuff." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'll do this for you. I like this. I was looking for something fun to do. You know, a challenge."
and you're still in California.
San
at this
Diego,
time.
yeah. So I'm like, just go buy. We were talked about this Zero bike, and he might have already had it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, just buy it, send it to me. And I sent him some pictures, and I'm like, I'm gonna mechanize this whole thing so it's electric, and the cameras can move up and down, and I'm gonna make it so that it works on the front and the rear, and so that it turns and does all this stuff. He's like, huh? I'm like, yeah. And so we talked about it, and he's like, oh man, that's going to be amazing if you can do that. So we built it. And I just built it for him and shipped it to Louisiana. I think somebody either took it there for him. He came and got it. I don't remember what happened, but he was super excited, but got back to Louisiana, got back busy again, and the thing sat for like a year. Nothing really happened. And I don't want to screw this story up by talking about stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I believe he got hired to do some filming on this movie. And he was talking to the director. He goes, "Oh, you're not going to believe what I have back at my house. I have the perfect thing to film this." And so kind of as a freak thing, he gets the thing out of the closet, gets it to the site, and they actually used it and filmed a whole bunch of the movie with it. And that was like the first big job that it had. And he just calls me up one day and he's like, "Oh man," and if you know Reed, he was just so excited. He goes, "This is going to work. We're going to do it." And I mean, gosh, I think we've built 5 of those things now, and just all kinds of stuff. I mean, that was just the beginning of the relationship. So, I mean, it was, then several years later, the movie industry is shifting from Louisiana based to Georgia based.
Yep. And
at the same time, I'm deciding to move from San Diego to Georgia. And he's just like, well, let's just go in together and let's get a shop and let's do all this. And I had to be close to Yamaha because the Yamaha people, they don't want to go a long ways. We want to have meetings and talk and stuff. And so I kind of drew a circle and said, I got to be inside this area. So it was a super long drive for Regis to come up here. So we worked together for 3 years, built a lot of really cool stuff, had a lot of good times, but it was also during COVID. So the industry the industry was just decimated, it was just terrible. And I don't know, when our lease was up, I'm like, I'm moving closer to Yamaha, and he's like, I'm moving closer to Peachtree City where all the movie stuff is. And so now it's back to the way we used to be. He calls me up and he's got this idea, and I'm like, yeah, I can make that. And so he's like, okay, I'll get the stuff, and then gets the parts or whatever, and we make it for him. And
because I had heard, and of course when you hear, because I've got a bunch of buddies that are like working with Regis or do stunt stuff, and like that you guys had split ways, and I was like, oh, is there bad blood there? So I actually reached out, like a friend of a friend, Chris Carr, was like, hey, like, did they split way? Do I not bring this up, kind of thing? And he was like, no, everything's good there. And he's but dude, Chris was just singing your praises about how amazing of a fabricator you were. So I just figured you'd like to hear that.
Oh, that's cool.
But So where was the first shop at when you guys were partners?
Down in Smyrna.
Oh, so not too far from here.
No.
So when I
but
was
still like an over an hour drive for him.
Oh yeah, because he's Sonoya-ish area. Yeah. So when I was texting him this morning back and forth, I had made a comment about his bike catching fire on long time ago when he was racing Supercross. His bike caught fire. I heard about that story. But he thought that I was talking about the time that one of the Zero bikes caught fire.
Yeah, in our shop.
And he said, he was like, I thought Jeff was going to kill me. So tell me about that. What happened with that whole, because Regis said it was his fault that it happened.
Just overcharged it. I mean, trying to, battery technology has come a long ways, but I'm telling you, those early electric bikes, like those Zeros, that particular model that we had, they're working the heck out of the bikes. They're charging them a lot, and they're using them a lot, and they use them really hard.
Yeah.
And it was a workhorse bike, and they were trying to, when the batteries kind of go dead in them, you can like boost them, or you can do some stuff to them to try to bring them back to life. Well, it thing just melted down, and it's luckily like 2/3 of the way towards the back of our shop. We had a really long like tunnel of a shop, and this thing caught on fire, and it didn't burn. There was never any flames. It just started smoking. And Regis, I'm not kidding you, he grabbed a tie down, like a ratchet strap, hooked it onto the bike, and drug the stand. I think the bike was on a stand. He drug the whole thing to the back of the building and down the ramp and out into the middle of the parking lot by himself. And I mean, it was solid plume of black smoke.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm surprised the fire department didn't come and they didn't shut down the whole building for some hazmat thing or something, because it was gnarly, scary,
Holy
super
shit.
scary.
Well, I mean, I give him a lot of credit, because a lot of people in those situations would shut down with like, oh, I don't know what to do. Because electrical fires are something else. Like you get electrical fire going, like they're like a regular ABC extinguisher. I don't even know if they put out electrical fires. I think they're,
I don't know,
maybe at some point, but they're not as good as like an electrical fire extinguisher.
Yeah, and it doesn't, like, the weirdest thing was there was never any flames. It just, the smoke just started pouring out of the battery. Scary, super scary.
Honestly, like, I have my garage that's separate from the house, and like with my e-bikes even, I'm like, I will never put them in my actual house, because that's something that always worries me. Even I have a friend who lost his whole house and his dog too because of a Power Wheels charger. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
like the whole house ended up going because of one of those. So all that stuff's always kind of been like in the back of mind, like worrisome, because you can have all these backup things and procedures and all this other stuff, but sometimes it's too late and it doesn't really matter.
There's I think there's some technology coming out with like these blankets that you can throw over it. It'll smother it out. I've seen some stuff online, so hopefully there's something cool coming that you can, like a bike cover or something.
Well, I've even seen a lot of stuff. I don't think it'll work in this situation, but it's almost like an explosion that will kind of all the extinguisher, but also the whatever it does with it either pushes out the oxygen or absorbs it in a way to help put out the fire as well. So there's some neat stuff with that, where literally I've seen like test videos where they just throw in what looks like a giant freaking cartoon ball of like, the TNT
blows the fire out.
But it literally, like, it throws in there, and it actually, whatever sets it off is the fire lights a fuse kind of thing. So it's cool to see the progression with that kind of stuff. So
Covert, he didn't happen to send you a picture of the YZ we built, did he?
No, I didn't get any pictures of that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I did just message him again, because he said he was going to try to call in if he was available, but he hasn't seen the message yet. When I went, oh man, I took a screenshot. I was actually taking a pic of you to send to him and be like, the legend's in the house. So he responded to that one, but he's probably busy. I mean, hell, like you said, you were supposed to hang out with him Saturday, but freaking dude, those guys.
When they got to work, they got to work. It's been rough.
I went riding with, I can't even remember the guy's name. He's got long black hair. He's in the middle of Atlanta, but we went to his house and went riding, and he was like, man, I was supposed to be home for 3 weeks, but I just got a call from Regis and I'm leaving out tomorrow, kind of thing. Like that's their life. And like, dude, like, and you can't say no. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens a lot of times. Like, they're expected to say yes. You say no at some point, you kind of get like on a blacklist, is like what I've heard about it. So you almost always have to like your phone rings, you better answer the call.
Yeah, they want the yes guys. They want the guys. Yeah, and there's, you got to believe that every director that's going to call somebody's got the first guy that he wants to call. Like, he knows who he really wants.
Yeah.
And everything else after that is just, well, this is what we're going to have to use, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And it's
Regis' life's dream is just to be that guy, you know?
Yeah.
He is that guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, and he is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've only got to hang out with him once for like an hour time and literally BS with him for a while. And I was just, you could kind of tell at that point that he's that guy. That's always interested me, how there's those people that you kind of meet and you don't know what it is, but you kind of like, man, this dude's really cool, you know? And then just to hear some of the, like, I love the fact that he literally came from nothing and really built himself up into this.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. I mean, you did the same thing with what you see an opportunity, you say yes to it, and you keep leading and building and learning stuff from there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's see what some of the notes that I had in here with Regis. We talked on that. Business partners. Oh, one of the things I wanted to know about the bikes was, because you even said, and this is something I heard about him when it was a Whiskey Throttle show that he was on, when he was talking about the build. That was the first time I heard your name. And the things will move up and down. Like you said, it's hydraulic based?
It's electric. It's on linear actuators, yeah.
So where do you not have to worry about the balance point of that? Because I feel like that's a lot of weight with the cameras and stuff.
I honestly don't know how Regis rides the bike sometimes. I've seen some rigs that he's had built in I mean, yeah, when they put the big camera on it, it's got to be, he counterbalances it. So that's why, if you look at the bike, you look at the bike, the front is an exact replica of the rear. So he has a box. If he's filming off the front, he's got a big aluminum box that goes on the back, and he counterbalances it. But still, it can be incredibly top heavy.
Well, yeah, because I would imagine if they want like an angle that's a little bit higher up, even with both of them higher up, or I guess would one be up and the other be down at that point to try to counterbalance, or are they both?
I think it's just a matter of what he has to do a lot of times, because he's done scenes where he's gone down a sidewalk, turned, went through a building, you know, and sometimes the camera has to be mounted just so that it can get the shot and do what he's got to do. Other times, if it's a larger camera or something, you know, maybe it's slower speed. I mean, he's, you know, one thing good about Regis, he's not afraid to tell the director, hey, this is what this can do. You know, it can do this shot, but, you know, there's limits. And, you know.
Yeah, that was one thing that Timmy was telling me. He's like, I don't do any of the stunt stuff. I ride the bike. And that was one thing that I wanted to ask him. But of course,
is Timmy riding the camera bike now?
Yeah, we were talking about, so my buddy Nick Gaddy is doing, Outer Banks.
Okay.
And I thought Evan, his son, was a part of that. But I was talking with Timmy and Evan, and I was like, hey, do you know Nick Gaddy? Like, he's been a part of that. And he's like, yeah, but Nick's doing all the crazy stuff where you're actually doing stunt work. He's like, I don't want any part of that. I'm driving the bikes and helping with the camera stuff. So that's how I actually know that he was doing that.
We built the version of this bike out of a YZ450 for going up and down stairs.
Oh.
For one of the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, okay.
And it's got it looks like that, but the stuff doesn't move. It's fixed. Because of the wheel travel and everything, it couldn't go down too low. And because of the length of the bike, when you start thinking about it, you know, and to go down a stairway, it has to be pretty high just to not auger in when you get to the bottom.
Bottom.
So, I don't know how much he's used that bike, but I know that was just like, that was one of those things. He's like, you think we can do this? I'm like, yeah. Literally calls Yamaha. Can you guys have a bike we could use? And they're like,
what year bike was it? And what you said it was a 450,
well, it's got to be like a 2020.
Okay.
Because it wasn't that long ago. It was the last Indiana Jones movie. So,
yeah.
So I don't know if he has pictures of it on his website. He probably doesn't want anybody to see it because it's kind of a special piece.
Well, let's get it. You got any pictures of it? Send it to me. I'll put them up. No, he said I don't even know if he wants to see it. Dude, I'm just trying to trick you into showing me some cool shit.
I don't think he would care, but I don't.
You're not sure, though.
Yeah.
So I was leading into that with like my fanboy out experience with Timmy this weekend, and I was like, don't fucking fuck this up and don't be cool guy kind of thing. So was there ever times where you actually got to go to sets and you actually, or because you talk about Rolling Sands and all these guys, did you ever have those moments as you were kind of coming through to where you were just like kind of fanboying out or trying to like not have that situation happen, or is not really, that's not happened with you?
I mean, I've gone on set with him a couple times, but it was just cool I just wanted to see how everything worked.
Oh, that was, yeah, that was one of the things that I got from your Aubrey was Jay Leno's bike. Didn't you do a custom bike for Jay Leno?
Yeah.
So you actually
Jay Leno wanted a VMAX. Yeah, he wanted a VMAX. One of those VMAXs on the website was his, and then he wanted to auction it off for charity. So then I had to make him another one.
Which one was it?
Right there. Go down. One more. Up one. I think that one right there. Yeah.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a custom V. This is the custom V. Oh, yeah, it says right there, Jay Leno VMAX.
So we had to do two of them because he wanted to auction one of them off, and
all
so
right,
we made
what's
two
with
of
that
those.
exhaust?
It's giant,
but
it matches the intake scoops, right? I mean, it's just giant. The coolest thing about that whole thing is that Jay invited us to his place and got to go up there actually a couple of times and see all of his stuff. And I was like, oh man, this is the epitome of the American dream for a hot rod guy.
Oh yeah, I bet.
All of his cars and all of his bikes and yeah, it was amazing.
So was that before the Jay Leno Garage Show, or was that after? Was this part of the Jay Leno Garage Show?
Wasn't part of the show. Might have been before. Yeah, I don't know. The VMAX was pretty new, so I don't recall what year that is. I don't know if it says on there.
I don't know what time his show or what year his show came out, but actually a buddy of mine who like has really cool like mud trucks in this area, he actually somehow got on to Jay Leno's show.
Oh yeah,
and that was 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I would think this is how many years ago?
Oh, that's got to be 10 years ago.
Okay, so yeah. I wouldn't think that his show would have been out then. He still would have been doing his talk show or whatever. Yeah.
It was just neat to get invited to his place and to see everything up there. I mean, the guy, he is an enthusiast of everything. He's got a battery. He had a battery sitting on the floor. It was like a wood box. I'm like, what is that? And he says, that's a battery that was made by Thomas Edison. And I'm like, well, why does it have a battery tender on it? It's made out of wood. He goes, oh, because it still holds a charge.
Holy shit.
You got to be kidding me. He's like, yeah, that's an original Thomas Edison battery. And it still holds a charge. I keep a battery tender on it. I'm like, gosh.
What?
Yeah, seriously.
Never heard that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Uh-oh, we got somebody calling in. Let's see who we got here.
I'm scared it's Regis.
Hey, who do we got, caller?
Hey. Oh my gosh, hi.
Hey.
Anthony, is that you?
Yeah.
Hi, Dad. It's Aubrey and Alan.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
How's
it going, you guys? I told Anthony I promised I'd call in. I've been trying to keep up with it, so I don't know what topics have already been covered. But I do have, I think, a cool question, maybe, Anthony, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think through the years, my dad has owned more things with wheels than maybe anybody I've ever met. I want to know if there was something in the trading and the selling and buying, if there was something that you were glad to get rid of and something you were just, and looking back, wish you never sold.
Oh, absolutely. I can say that when we're talking about...
Hang up for the answer. Bye, guys.
Okay,
See
bye.
ya. Thanks.
So if you're talking about glad to get rid of, I would say every motorhome I've
When he
ever
moved
owned.
out of the house, is that when you were glad to get rid of something?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I just want him to go back and
I don't know that he moved out. I might have moved him out. But
Hey, when I graduated, my parents moved up to Georgia, and I live in Florida still, and they didn't give me the address for like 4 years. So I get it. Yeah, my parents did that to me.
Yeah.
With good reason. All right, so what was the glad to get rid of?
Glad to get rid of every motorhome I've ever owned.
Oh, God.
So every when those things go away, you're
I'm
cutting
on
your
my
losses.
first one still, and dude, they're just constant nightmares
Yeah.
of things going wrong with them.
I have a boat now, and I wouldn't say that yet about a boat. Everybody says that the happiest day that you own a boat is the day you get it, and the day you get rid of it. But I still like the boat. But motorhomes definitely. Favorite things that I should have never sold. Man, I don't know. Like you said, I've had so much stuff. I mean, probably my '66 Mustang Fastback GT350 replica. Yeah, that was I could still buy it back. I know where it's at.
Well, that's pretty
Wife
cool.
beware.
You can store it here if you need. If you need a place to store it until you kind of ease her over.
You'd have to get rid of like 10 motorcycles down there.
I can get rid of the side by side.
Yeah, okay.
I'll park that side by side outside.
Yeah.
Gladly.
There you go.
All right, so that was glad to get rid of. What's one that you sold that you were just like, oh,
The Mustang.
oh, so the
Yeah.
same one?
Yeah, the Mustang. No, glad to get rid of the motorhomes.
Oh yeah, da.
Yeah.
Fuck, I got to keep up. All right, so speaking of something that was not really glad to get rid of, but ripped out of your hands, we talked about this before the start of the show. So I'm gonna see if I can find the picture of it because this was really neat. The old, what was it I need to search?
Oh, yeah.
The
You're talking about the bike.
Olin's.
Olin's 2-track.
Oh Jesus.
It's the number 2 and then TRAC.
All right, so we were talking about this
There it
before
is
the
down below. There's a
show.
picture of it.
All right, there it is. All right. So walk me through what happened with this thing, the story you were telling me about, because it's pretty good.
So in I think it was 2004, right? Didn't we decide it was in 05? Yeah. I think it was in 04. Yamaha Olin's had built this motorcycle, and they had them. I think they were going to race the Dakar Rally with it because it was 2-wheel drive. They had done this system that was hydraulic, and it's all hydraulically driven. So they never imported them into the U.S., but somehow a couple of bikes got over here. Maybe to see if there was any market for it in the U.S. or whatever. And there was one at Yamaha up in Cyprus, and it was sitting in the warehouse. And it had been there for a while, and it was upstairs. No one was doing anything with it. And I talked to the warehouse manager, and I'm like, what's going on with that bike? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, would anybody notice if it was missing? He's like, probably not. He literally said, I'm not looking. If it disappears on my watch, I'm not going to know what happened to it. So I literally went and got it, put it in my trailer. It was weird as I didn't ask anybody. I think I told some people later, but I took it back to San Diego and took it riding. And I was like, man, this thing is really neat. Like on a gravel road or something, or on like loamy, sandy stuff, it's just amazing. And so I kept it, and literally, like, that was like the draw. Like, every friend I had that rode motorcycles at the time, I got to ride it. I got to try it. I got to try it. Every time we went out, we took it out. And then it was sitting, I just had it in storage. And about a year later, somebody called that I didn't really know, but I knew of, that worked at Yamaha, and says, do you have this bike? And I'm like, yeah. Well, it's not yours. I'm like, no, it's not. Well, we got to have it back. I'm like, okay, I can bring it back. Yeah, no big deal.
I didn't steal it, man.
Well, that bike belongs to Olin's, and I was like, okay, well, I'll bring it back. And so I just took it back up, never saw it again. But over, way back then, I was able to obtain one of the kits that you would bolt to a WR450.
Only the 05, right?
Yes.
So explain the kit, like what all is involved with it, how it works, and all that stuff. Oh shit!
No, that's Christine. That's a different one.
Trying to blow it up.
There is not a lot on it in the United States. There was never much published on it. It was in magazines. Basically, it's a front hub that has a hydraulic motor in it that is timed with a hydraulic motor that runs off the countershaft sprocket. And there's the 2 hoses. They go up over the gas tank and down to a canister.
I'm trying to just like zoom in on things. It's not.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. That's not really. That shows the front hub and the lines pretty well.
So this area right here, though,
there's a little tiny hydraulic motor there.
So it's not like it's spinning this part of the wheel, or
no, that part doesn't move. Only the outer ring does that the spokes are hooked into.
Okay, so like in this area where the hand is?
Yeah,
that's the ring?
The motor is right above that, above the axle block, yeah. Okay, that's the motor, and it turns a ring gear, which is inside the hub.
Oh.
And so it's all
sealed.
So it's all internal. Yeah, it's all internal.
Interesting.
There's like no visible moving parts on it. Other than the fact that the wheel gets about 35% of the power is transferred to the front wheel.
And honestly, like 35 doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot when you're used to having nothing and you're climbing through things.
Well, when you're on a gravel road and you know you're always in that turn and you're like, how fast can I do this turn before I lose a rear end or whatever? It's like game changer.
Oh, nice. All right, so it goes up and then it routes where? It goes like...
It literally drops down right behind the radiator. There's like a little tiny...
on this side or the other side?
On the other side.
I was going to say, it looks like it goes down that side.
And it drops down and there's a canister there. And then there's 2 hard lines that go back. And then there's a hydraulic pump that sits right. It's literally, I mean, it clears by like almost takes the paint off the shock spring. The shock spring and the bottom of the carburetor. There's like a little hole there big enough to put that little motor in.
Because the starter is there too, right?
Yeah, it misses the starter. It's right behind the starter.
Yeah.
And so it drives off the nut on the countershaft sprocket. The gearbox that drives the pump slips over that nut, and that nut actually turns the chain, or not the chain, but the gear set that drives the motor.
So it doesn't need special cases at that point.
No.
It can bolt to the cases on the outside.
So long story short, I've got this box with all these parts in it.
That's what I was going to lead into. So somebody told you, was like, hey, you can't. I know you lost the bike, but I've got this kit to build one.
Well, I know I ordered it. I bought it from.
Oh, you bought it? Okay.
Yeah.
How much was it?
$7,000.
What? Yeah. Holy shit!
Yeah. Back then, in 2000.
Oh my god.
2005, probably. Yeah. So, but then I just had it. It was in storage all these years, and I mean, not even 6 months ago, a friend in LA calls me and says, "Hey, you know that bike that I got from you? That it's an old WR." He's like, "You want it?" And I'm like, "Well, what is it?" He says, "It's a WR 450." And I go, "Oh my God, is it frame steel or aluminum?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know. I got to go check. I haven't seen it in like 5 years." He goes, "It's blue." I'm like, "Oh God, what year is it?" And he goes, "It's 05. And I'm like, "Well, what kind of condition is it in?" He goes, "Well, it still has the original tires on it when he got it from you." And I'm like, "Holy shit." He's like, "What do you want for it?" He goes, "Oh, you can have it. Just send somebody to get it. I got to get it out of here." So my buddy picked it up, brought it here, totally restored it, and it's...
How close are you to done with it?
Close. Like I'm waiting on the last couple parts.
So when are we going riding?
I know everybody's going to want to ride it. That's exactly that's the problem with that bike is I know everybody's going to want to ride it, and yet it's like if you break one thing on that bike, you're never going to, the parts are just unobtainable, you know, because they never sold it in the U.S., you know.
Well, I've had a few Olin's builds, like sent my stuff to Olin's, and I've got that guy's cell phone number. I will text him. I will get you whatever parts you need if I break it.
You're trying.
I promise I can make a phone call for you. That's about the only thing.
I called corporate Olin's and asked them for an instruction manual for it. They didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh, shit.
So good luck.
So are you just going to draw one yourself? That's what you used to do?
No. I did find one online finally.
That's funny.
But
no, man.
Yeah, interesting. Cool piece.
Yeah, because until you said something about it, there's one company... It starts with a C.
Christini.
Yes. Yeah, they've made some that I've seen for like Hondas, and actually one of the people at Mountain Motorsports had one, and I've seen it in person, was kind of looking at it, but it's a totally different. Yeah, like concept, design, everything is way different.
It's got a lot of chains and things going around.
Yeah.
Like I always thought this was ingenious because it was so like just smooth, like none of those moving parts, you know. The hydraulic drive is crazy. If you look online, if you look into it, you can see where they built some other bikes, other stuff in Europe with it. That system.
Yeah, but obviously it doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, think about what it would have cost.
Well, yeah, $7,000 in the 2000s and no shit.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, what would that even probably sell for now? $12,000 or something?
Yeah, and then add that onto, and you're talking about it. By the time you get done, you're probably going to have a close to a $25,000 dirt bike.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't pay anything for the dirt bike.
Still want to ride it?
Yeah, I do. I do. I don't care.
Right. You can ride it.
No, so like at least the dirt bike expense was shipping
Right.
essentially, and you sold it to them, so you probably made money when you sold it to them. So when you factor all this in, you're at like $6,000, and no, probably still at $7,000.
It doesn't.
How much money did you put back into it from that? And I'm assuming you had to do bearings like swing arm bearings, steering stem bearings, that kind of stuff, or not really?
Oh, I sent the wheels off to W. I got new tire. Dunlop sent me tires. I've restored the whole bike, so I've got. It doesn't matter.
You know who else restored a bike recently that's amazing around the same time frame is me with that YZ250 I'm giving away, which I want to remind people that, like, listen, send in videos, send in stories, Campfire Moto Stories on Instagram or on Facebook or my website. Like, I want this show to eventually be, realistically, I would love this show to be like a group of the same guys that just get to play the stories of people that send things in. Because that's what I think, like when we get to talking about the stories of things, it is like the best part of any of the stuff that I listen to. So I would love a platform to just your average person that doesn't have a way to let the world hear some good, funny stories, to send them in. Don't be shy about it. Don't worry about it. You're going to fumble or whatever. You can dial 844-789-2367, day or night, anytime, and leave a voicemail, and it will get played on the show. And in fact, we might take another pee break before we're done with the show, because I have one that I can play, or we can just keep going, and we're just going to have fun sharing our stories, and I'll save it for the next show. It's the last one I have, so I'm telling you people, please send in a story so I can play it on the show, because that's what I want it to get to as this grows. All right, shit. I used whatever we were talking about to lead into that, so I could do that plug. All right, we're talking about that bike. Any other stuff you want to kind of share on that one, or we kind of hit a wall with that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I wanted to do. Like, I think I'm going to have a little fun with it, because there's going to be people that want to ride it, that just want to experience
people
it.
Like, what is that?
Yeah. And then I, I don't know what I'll do with it. I collect bikes. I've had a lot of bikes, so it'll probably go in the corner and get shined up and just look at it till the next person wants to try it out,
All right, so I do want to at least do one more of my segments so I can pay some of the final bills. And we talked a little bit on tech tip stuff. Do you have a tech tip thing that you kind of feel you'd share, or not really?
Oh, man.
Because I know you've got so many tricks. So before we get into that, think about it for a second. I'm going to mute us and pay some bills.
Now it's time for some awesome tech tips.
Transform your comfort with Innovative Mechanical LLC, specializing in HVAC service for residential and commercial properties. They provide expert installation, maintenance, and repair. Their certified technicians ensure top-notch service, whether it's air conditioning, heating systems, or indoor air quality solutions. Serving Georgia since 1999, they prioritize customer satisfaction with prompt, reliable service at competitive rates. From routine maintenance to emergency repairs, trust Innovative Mechanical LLC for all your HVAC needs. Give them a call at 770-726-7407 or visit innovativemechanical.llc.com to schedule service and experience unparalleled comfort today.
All right, we're back. So we talked a lot off camera about what tech tips we want to share, and honestly, it got me cracking up so much because I've got stories about it. To where, all right, tell the people, what is your tech tip?
This is the stupidest tech tip you're ever going to hear, but use SC1 for everything. The number one consumable thing that we use in the shop is probably SC1, and we joke all the time that we should make some cologne that's made out of SC1, because then we would always, smell like we were working on something. I guess my wife would be like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's SC1,"
All right, so the very first time we got introduced to SC1 was around 2005, 2006. I was working at a Cowie dealership in I wanted to say Springfield, but that's not right. Spring Hill, Florida, which is really close to Dade City Raceway. It's like 30 minutes north of Tampa. So we actually had like a race team. They did a sponsors cup, and we had like 4 racers total that were in that. I was actually one of them, and Vince Devane and Ryan, I can't remember his last name, and somebody else. And so SC1 came out, and one of the technicians that worked on all the race bikes found out about it. And he's like, this stuff is amazing. It makes everything look so good, which I can see why for a builder.
Yeah.
Dude, you get done with that. It makes it, anytime I'm selling a bike, this is the best tech tip from that. When you are selling a bike, SC1 the shit out of that bike, wipe it down, take pictures. It looks amazing. That's one of the reasons why this thing is shining so much. I SC'd that thing 10 years ago, and it's amazing looking, right?
Yeah, somebody was in my shop just yesterday, and they were looking at one of my vintage bikes, and they're like, "How'd you make these? Oh, are those original tires?" I'm like, "Yeah." How'd you make them look so good? I go, just spray the heck out of them with SC1, put them in a trash bag so it can't dry off of them, and just let it soak there for like a week, and then take it out and buff it off. They look like brand new.
That is a good tech tip. Now, you would advise to not go drive them on the street, probably.
Well, these are 40-year-old tires, so no one's riding them anywhere. No.
So that's what happened with the thing, though, is he was like, this makes bikes look amazing. He sprayed the whole thing, the seat, the shrouds, everything. And we go out for first practice, and we were like flipping off the bikes. And we come back. It wasn't as bad for me, but Vince came back, and he's like, what the hell did you guys put on the bikes? And Kenny was like, what? It looks amazing, doesn't it? He's like, I can't fucking hold on.
Can't ride it.
So they literally had to like take gasoline and like I think maybe sandpaper or some way to scuff up the seat and scuff up the shrouds where we could actually grip the bikes. Because other than that, we were just slipping off the thing.
It comes off with the solvent. But
yeah, but we're at the track. We don't have solvent. So gasoline is the next best thing.
Yeah.
So and another really funny thing with that is I don't remember exactly who made it. I still have the can downstairs, but I went to Mountain, this is a year and a half ago, and I went to go get some SC1 because I was about to post a bike for sale, and they're out. And I was like, dude, why are you out of SC1? He goes, the side-by-side people come in and take the cases.
Yeah.
They order them by the case.
Yeah.
And I was like, why that? He's like, they spray the hell out of the underside of them, and that way when they go to wash them off, it falls off better.
Yeah.
So they had another brand, and he was like, it's like Clean and Go or Shine and Go, and Motul makes it, right? So I went and sprayed the bike with it, and for whatever reason, they tried to, marketing-wise, I guess, combat the SC1 good smell. It smells like Fruit Loops. So I walk in my house smelling like this, and this is 7:30 at night, and my wife's like, you been eating Fruit Loops? And I was like, no, it's the spray that I was spraying on the bike. And she's... maybe she was pregnant at the time, but she's like, she ended up having a craving for Fruit Loops. She had to go to the store, buy Fruit Loops, and literally ate them that night because of how this smelled.
I don't know how it actually came about, but in the old days before SC1, you could use Pledge. Like the lemon smelled Pledge.
Oh, okay.
Furniture cleaner. It's like paraffin based. It's the same thing. It doesn't work as good as SC1, but it works really good.
I remember right out of high school, I went to work for a bike shop, and the guy wasn't paying me just because he's a terrible business person. Next door was a golf cart shop, so I went to them and was like, and that's actually where I learned like Browns and electrical stuff, and was actually really glad that I went to go do that because I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that I needed to know. That kind of translated. But there was oh God, what is it? It was just a bucket of silicone that we would paint. So all the golf carts with like the faded mats, like the floor mats, we literally just silicone paintbrush this stuff.
Oh, really?
And it was the closest thing that I could like compare to that. That was still 2 years before SC1 kind of came out. So I don't know. I think that's kind of what it is because it's really slick. It's almost like a silicone base.
It's a wax. It's a It's a something like that.
I don't know. We've given a lot of companies a bunch of free plugs here.
I know.
Right now, right?
I don't work for Maximum.
You used to hang out with Dogger though, which that's pretty cool. So I do want to get, because I know that you've been all over the world. Like you can only do so much to know. So there's like Tokyo Motor Shows you've been to Yamaha headquarters in Japan, Bonneville Salt Flats, all that's kind of true. But I know you have some good Sturgis stories. So it's 8:48 now. if you got some Sturgis stories, let's get into those, and maybe we'll have you back in. There's kind of a higher up, maybe the head guy of motorsports I want to get in with you at one time, so maybe we'll get into some of those other stories. But yeah, tell me some Sturgis stuff.
I mean, Sturgis is crazy. I mean, I've gone there so many times. I mean, over a span of 10 years, I went every year, and you get to where it's just like a big fair, county fair or carnival. Like when you get there, it's like, so you kind of get over being at Sturgis. But for me, it's always been about getting there and the ride. And I think one of the coolest things we would ever do was during the days when the Star development was at its peak, we would, bring our counterparts in Japan over here, and they would want to experience, or we felt that if they could experience riding a motorcycle in the United States, they could really
they can understand why you want
it. Why do we ask for this sound, or why do we ask for this casual type of riding style? Everything's has to be a sport bike, why do we want this? So to be able to bring those guys over and to put together a group, I mean, we'd put together a group to try to teach them. We'd get like maybe 5 or 6 people from outside the industry, and then we'd get some product planning guys, and we get these guys from Japan over here, and we would ride all the way to Sturgis from Cyprus, or from
Cyprus.
Yeah, sometimes we would cheat and truck the bikes up to like Salt Lake City or something, but because it was a scheduling issue too, to be on the road for 5 days or whatever.
So you kind of meet them probably at the airport at Salt Lake City.
Yeah, but to be able to take them out on the road, and I mean, like for example, one time we had this really talented guy, really good guy, and we're out in I think we're like in Gillette, Wyoming or something, out in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, Jeff, he says, you think maybe I could lead the ride? Like he was serious. Like this was a big thing for him. I'm like, well, absolutely. Yeah. You just everybody stop. When we stop next time, whatever, you get in front and you lead. Where we're taking this side road. We're going to go out to Devil's Tower. So he's leading, and we're kind of hanging way out and rubbing the back. And there's like 15 bikes, and a friggin' sheriff pulls him over. Passes all of us, goes along, passes all of us on the highway. This is on a 2-lane, so
and
he passes us.
Like a high up Japanese guy.
He's a product planning guy. Okay. Yeah, but like a really good guy.
Yeah.
And he's at the front of the line. The sheriff pulls the whole line of bikes over, and because we didn't want to get tickets, we all stopped way short. So he's 300 yards, 200 yards away from us,
and the
down
cops
there
behind him,
and the cops up there writing him a ticket. And I'm sitting there with Roland Sands, and Roland's like, oh God, I hope he doesn't go down the line here and give everybody tickets. I'm like, why? And he goes, well, I haven't had a license for like a year and a half. I got mine taken away at home. So I'm like, shit. So then the officer drives off, and we all ride up to the front to see what happened. And he's standing there looking at his ticket. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I mean, it's not a big deal. It won't cost much or whatever. And he was just, he's like, you don't understand. He basically said, there is not a better souvenir anybody could have than a speeding ticket from South Dakota on your ride into Sturgis.
So that thing was probably like framed in his office.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even pay it.
Oh, hell no. There's just, you never know. You never know. But
oh man, that's great. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that one of the challenges with them understanding cruisers is that there's no racing involved? Like their motto and kind of brought them on was like race on Sunday, or win on Sunday, sell on Monday kind of thing. Do you think that was kind of maybe a disconnect until they got the vibe of it?
I honestly think they did really well. I think the whole effort was you had the right people here, in the States, educating everybody. And yeah, it was difficult. It was hard. I mean, a lot of people really worked really hard to get the models developed and get them into production. And it wasn't so much a fight as it was an education process, And I mean, it's was all about the teamwork and everybody believing in what we were doing. And it's probably one of the most significant, fun times of my whole career. You know, when you look back at it, those years of when cruisers were just on top of the world was really fun.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of the things where I kind of wanted to like maybe get some controversial stuff out of you. Like, where do you think it died off? Like, what? Because there was like these shows, the Jesse James and the OCC. Yeah. In fact, it didn't work out with how I was going to do, but I was actually going to be like, so who inspired you to start building custom bikes? And why was it Paul Jr. or Paul Sr.? Like, I was going to set that up just to get like a laugh out of you, but it just didn't work. But like all these shows and all this stuff came up, and it was this huge explosion.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, yes, it had started to trail off a little bit, but don't forget about the big financial crisis, too. All of that happened. The market was softening. I think a huge amount of like market saturation. I mean, like everybody had a around the town bike, and they had a bike to go on the road with, and their wife had a bike. I mean, just massive overdose of bikes everywhere in that market. And I think then the financial crisis kind of happened. And I think that what came out of that was, people not having as much disposable income to spend on bikes. So they started building, I'm not going to say rat bikes, but they started building like a lot of home built bikes and a lot of custom bikes. Guys were doing it at home, a lot more home builders, a lot more. Then people started buying functional bikes. I mean, look what's popular now, all these kind of naked bikes and adventure touring bikes and stuff that you can use. I mean, just multi-use everything. And
Tenere.
Yeah, the Tenere. I mean, the Tenere is like the greatest bike there is, for a multi-use bike. And so I think that just the market transitioned, and someday it'll transition again. It just goes. It's always a changing thing.
Yeah, and I mean, from the outside looking in, and the bubble was a big part of that. But I think, to me, what was always a downfall, I was seeing these people spending $100,000, $50,000 on these cruisers, but the resale was $5,000, $10,000 if you were lucky. Like a $100,000 bike is now worth $10,000.
I had a really good friend, Nigel Patrick, he built Harley motors, the best Harley motors made, like billet aluminum motors. And these motors were, I don't know, probably 20, 25 grand. I mean, I don't know. They were a lot of money in the day. And you couldn't even sell a finished bike for what the motor was, not even half of what the motor probably cost. Yeah. You see them at auction, choppers, there was a point in time when choppers would go across the block that somebody probably paid 75 grand for. And, there was all those companies. I mean, before OCC, I mean, there was companies doing stuff. And
I remember Tucker Rocky had a whole catalog with them where you could, like, buy or all the parts to build your own custom thing. Like, it was a really cool concept, but I think that's really where it fell apart, is people were like, I could put all this money into it, but I'm never going to get it even close to that out of it.
And I think all the guys that built choppers back in the day that are still building bikes build custom baggers, because the baggers is the chopper, it's the custom thing to do now, and look how much more practical it is. And
it's really interesting what's happened with the bagger road racing thing.
Like that, crazy, right?
Like, honestly,
it's like a spectacle. Like,
there's plenty of times, like on a Sunday morning, like my kid and I would get up early, and I'd try to let my wife sleep in, and I'd find that on TV, and even he would start watching it, and I'm like, dude, these are cruisers in a way that are freaking getting it. And their lap times are really impressive when you compare them to like the sport bikes. You're like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's interesting to see where those things kind of take off. Because, I mean, I know about them, but I don't follow them kind of enough. But, yeah, it's really neat. So do we want to get into any more stuff? Because it's 8:57 now, and I told you we'd try to keep this at 2 hours. I mean, like you said, you're an old man, bladder, you had to take a pee break, and, if you got a Murder, She Wrote, he's gone, or whatever, if you need to get home. So, but CAD stuff? Do you do a lot with CAD and 3D design things? Because that's something that's always interesting.
You can't live without it nowadays. I mean, we don't do a lot of 3D modeling. Most anything you draw in SolidWorks nowadays, it creates a 3D model of it anyway. So it's just an automatic function of the software. So we every time you draw a part, you have a model of it. But as far as like giant, huge, large scale modeling projects, haven't done much of that since the bubble broke on the cruiser thing, because we were starting to see some of that in that industry, but it's not a lot of call for it. But on a big scale, but in terms of part design, SolidWorks is.
So do you get to mess with a lot of 3D printers or not really?
Well, when 3D printers was like new in its infancy, I bought 2 of them, like the biggest ones you could get, and we were making parts for everybody, as well as I've almost made a whole motorcycle with the 3D printer before.
You can,
But nowadays, unless you do it all the time, it's not practical to own the equipment yourself. You just send it out. If you need something 3D printed, you just send it to a 3D printing place, and they have the best equipment made. And because the lifespan on the equipment is short, because technology keeps
progressing,
outdating stuff. Every 2 years, you got to buy all new equipment. Really, it's so advanced. So.
Yeah, that's something that's always like we were talking about engineering degrees and stuff beforehand. Like that. That's always interests me, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of learning it to find out that, I've put 10 grand into this thing and I've spent, how many hours learning the design of it just to be like, oh, it's outdated or it's not. Yeah. You got to get the next thing kind of stuff. But that is something where I would love at some point to like peek over your shoulder if you're still doing this stuff to be like, all right, show me what this is about.
Sometimes I wished I still had 3D printing capability in house.
Oh, you don't.
But we just don't have it anymore because it's just like I said, we send it all out if we need it, And back in the day when we were doing it, we were using the materials were such a narrow. I mean, you had ABS plastic and polycarbonates, but now you can do aluminum and titanium, and you can do anything, and you can 3D print actual functional parts you can go ride on. So it's really advanced.
Yeah.
Really cool.
All right, cool. Well, let's wrap up the show. Unless you got any other stories or things you want to tell me about.
I don't know.
It's tough when you're in that spot. Where
I know. All day I was trying to think about what we're going to talk about, and I probably missed everything, but I don't know. We had enough to talk about. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's what I told you. Said we will get through this thing. So why don't we do this? You think about those things, jot them down, text them to me. And actually, Aubrey was even like, I was wanting to produce your show, but you put it together. Because he was here at my house 2 weeks ago, and after that, I was like, I got to get his dad on. So that's when I hit you up. Like, come on, let's go. But I think we can get another episode out of you. So we'll get you in, maybe try to get Mike in and some other people. I think they'd be pretty cool. So we're going to end the show. I really appreciate you coming in and doing this.
No problem. It was fun.
Some great stories that you told. I'm going to be dying laughing about some of them later tonight. I already know it. My wife's going to be like, why are you laughing? Shut up. It's bedtime. Go to bed. All right. So, do this. Close all these other cool things out. All right. Let's end the show. B, tell me a dirt bike story.
Once upon a time, me and Frankie rode on a dirt bike, and a bear came out of nowhere, and we were riding, and then we were in the forest, and then we drove as fast as we can straight into the street, and then the bear punched the sign. We punched the bear off of the sign. He went way into the distance, and he hit a car, and he cried.
He's crying?
Yeah.
How badly damaged was the car?
The car was metal. It was not even damaged.
What? But the bear? Was the bear damaged?
No, the bear was horrible.
The bear was horrible?
Because he got burned by the sun. He got melted, and no more bears were on that land.
No more bears were on the land.
And me and Frankie went to the beach, and then a race car came, and then our garbage truck came, and we had fun with them, and they had to go, but they had to go to work, and then we came back.
Is that the end of the story?
And then we swam a bunch. And then we went back in the street,
Great story.
You wanna talk about a leaf fish? I have caught Charlotte in the darkness. With cups and rolling dice, we get no fucks now. Who thinks twice, yeah? And when this whole thing slower, felt like it was trying to shake us. Held on to what we knew. It could try, but it never break us. It could try, but it never break us. It's all about us coming up, like we can't function on this level. You laugh at who we are, you're the joke that's taken too far. So it's complexion over, we won't let them take us down. We just keep getting closer, getting used to things around.